I was halfway through my coffee when my mother dropped the bomb. No lead and no gentle start, just, "We're selling your country house." The words landed like a falling axe. She didn't even glance my way, eyes glued to her phone, probably texting my sister about baby name ideas. Dad stayed quiet, as if the whole thing had been rehearsed in advance. I asked why, even though the reason was obvious. "She's pregnant now," Mom said flatly. "She needs a home of her own. You live alone. You don't need that place." It wasn't just a place. It was my refuge. My grandfather had built it with his own hands. On sunny afternoons, the pine scent still drifted through the walls. Every summer I'd known existed there. The creak of the old porch swing, the sound of the gate, the stillness. And now it was a bargaining chip. At that time, I still believed in the silent promise that parents guard the things you hold dear. I believed they would never push my sister's needs ahead of mine in a way that broke me. But I was wrong. My sister was the favorite. Delicate, needy, always forgiven. I was the independent one, which in my family meant replaceable. I didn't object that day. I simply nodded as if I was thinking it over, when in truth I was memorizing their faces. Mom's brisk decisiveness, Dad's deliberate quiet. It wasn't the first time they tried to take something from me. But I decided it would be the last. 3 days later, the first crack appeared. I overheard Dad on the phone. "We'll tell her next week. She won't put up a fight." The buyers already lined up. Buyer. They were going to sell my house without me. My pulse slowed. My focus sharpened. The grief I'd been feeling cooled into something harder. No yelling. No confrontation. Just a plan. I called my lawyer, an old college friend who still owed me a favor. She confirmed my suspicion. The property was legally mine. Every board, every tile. My parents had zero claim. They couldn't sell it without my consent. And they weren't going to get it. But I didn't want an open battle. I wanted it shut tight. So I decided to sell it myself, to someone who'd make it untouchable. Within a week I found my buyer, Mr. Iqbal, a retired police officer searching for a peaceful spot outside the city. He had both the means and the will to protect his land. I told him enough to know privacy was important. It was signed. Payment cleared. The house was his. By the time my parents showed up with their pitch, I no longer owned it. 2 weeks later my phone rang. It was Iqbal. His voice was calm, faintly amused. "Your father broke into the house today." I could picture it. Dad stepping onto the porch like he still owned it, key in hand, shocked when it didn't fit. Iqbal watching from the doorway, arms crossed, the law firmly behind him. "I told him to leave," Iqbal said. When he didn't, I called a few old colleagues. By the time they escorted him out, his face was red enough to match his temper. That night, my parents stormed into my apartment. "How could you sell it? That house was for your sister." Mom snapped. "Correction," I said evenly. "It was mine. And I sold it because I knew exactly what you planned." Dad's jaw clenched. His silence louder than words. "You betrayed your family," Mom hissed. Leaned back. "No. I just learned from you." The quiet that followed was better than applause. They tried guilt. They tried anger. They even pulled the "we're your parents, you owe us" act. But you can't leverage control over someone who's already cut the cord. When they left, the door didn't slam, it clicked shut. They knew it was over. Revenge isn't always loud. It's not shouting or theatrics. Sometimes it's a lock they'll never open. Sometimes it's land they'll never set foot on, owned by someone who doesn't take kindly to trespassers. My sister never got her place. She moved in with them instead. I could hear the tension in their voices when we next spoke. Too many people in too little space. Meanwhile, I invested the money in another property. Further away, quieter still. They don't know where it is. They never will. Do I feel bad? Well, because the day they decided my life was a trade-off, they stopped being my family and became just people. People who underestimated me. And I don't lose to people who underestimate me. That house was my past. Selling it was my freedom. But the real victory was watching them realize, too late, they'd taught me exactly how to win.